Date of birth.
June 23, 1996.
Where are you from?
Yaroslav region, city of Rybinsk.
Please tell me how you... And first of all, you understand, right, that this is a voluntary conversation with us? For recording and publication. Do you mind?
Well, I wouldn't like to, but let's talk.
Interesting approach. Interesting approach. Well, shall we talk?
Let's talk.
We'll talk. Why wouldn't you want to? What bothers you?
Well, I mean, I wasn't interested in politics before, and I'm not interested now.
Yes, I told you we are not talking about politics. We are talking about life.
Now there is a political sort of discussion going on. Not a discussion, sort of everywhere. On each side, so to speak. Had their own truth.
Well, since we are starting from philosophy rather than politics, then let's get to your truths right away. You have some of your own, don't you?
They said it was necessary, I came. There isn't my own truth as such.
You are talking about an event that actually happened. And you're saying that each side has its own truth.
Well, I mean it from a political point of view. That is... Well, that's how it is, that is...
Can you look at this truth from top to bottom, or from a distance and draw your own conclusion?
Well, if I saw this truth, that is... There is... propaganda. Everywhere, yes.
Got it. Then let's start with...
Everywhere they show what people should see and not what is actually happening.
Question, do you believe your eyes?
Well...
What did you see with your own eyes? Let's start from the moment you were called up or mobilized. What did they do to you?
Mobilized.
When was this?
October 11th of that year. That is 2022.
October 11th. How did this happen?
As humans is served.
Did they come to your home?
They brought it to work.
Who brought it? The postman?
Well, I don't know. They handed it over to me in the HR department.
Oh, did the HR manager give it to you, right?
Well, I came to military office, checked in, and they already notified me that up to 35 years old, that is... Well, there were summonses for older people, but here they took on the young ones up to 35 years old, the first group. There won't be any marks, that is, we're leaving.
Where did you work? I forgot to ask.
Well, at the factory as metal smelter.
Metal smelter. You had no connection with the army before this?
Well, only mandatory service.
Mandatory service. Do you have a wife, a child, a family?
I do.
Tell us a few words about them.
They wait and love.
They wait, they love. They live fine, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a daughter, a son?
Both daughter and son.
Both daughter and son. How old?
Well, my daughter is 8 this year. My son is 4. 5.
Son is 5. Did you understand that you would go further to Ukraine or not?
Well, regarding Ukraine, that is a controversial issue. Let's touch on it again. I don't know, propaganda or not, it is true or not, that there were referendums on the annexation of Lugansk, Donetsk to Russia. Supposedly they passed that this, and they already sent us to the territorial defense of these regions.
So?
I mean, well...
That is, you understood that you were going to defend the regions that were supposedly annexed to Russia.
Well, Lugansk, they brought us, that is, we were in the Lugansk region.
So, and what did you think about it? Did you need it or not?
Personally, I don't. That is, there is something slightly wrong in my head. Why do citizens, refugees flee as, if not defending their homeland, their land, and I, from more than 1,000 kilometers away, am as if sent here?
This is a good question. And why do you think this happens?
Well, I don't have an answer to that question to this day.
What do you think the total population of Lugansk and Donetsk regions was before
I
2014?
have no idea.
How many people left Lugansk and Donetsk regions?
I have no idea.
If you have no idea about this, can you consider what you call a referendum fair and honest?
If I don't know, maybe it's fair, maybe it is, maybe it's not.
Got it. Maybe, maybe not. Okay, what next? You were brought in for coordination. What happened after coordination? More precisely, how long were you there for coordination and what did you do there?
Well, in about a month and a half, that is, the training grounds for someone are mastering new skills in shooting, digging, equipping positions, for someone refreshing their memory in this, for someone, well, it's new. This is new for someone. Well, actually, that's it. We have already been sent.
So, what happened next?
Well, after the deadline, that is, people arrived with lists. According to this list, groups were selected and we were sent. So, as if they said first, we should go further for coordination or training. I think they call it training. Well, but in fact they took us to another region altogether. That is, they said to the Voronezh region, but in the end we arrived in Belgorod, as it
To
turned
Belgrade.
out. Belgorod.
What were you doing there?
Well, there they kind of gave us weapons, armor, and sent us off at 5 in the morning.
Where were you sent at 5 in the morning?
Well, as I understand it, on the territory of Ukraine, that is, we arrived in the Lugansk region. Well, no one said anything exactly where you are going. Initially, as I said, they said we are going further for training. In fact, it turned out that we arrived at the unit where we were assigned. They gave us weapons and sent us to the territory, well, abroad.
Have you been deceived?
Well, it turned out that way. In fact, because one thing was said, another came out.
Uh-huh. And where did you come?
I don't know where exactly. That is, they unloaded us, told us to find a place to spend the night. That another car would come in the morning and sort of pick up us. Well, they brought us where they took the rest. I don't know. A group of 15 of us were brought to a force belt, and only then they told us where we were.
Well,
That was the village of Makivka.
Makivka.
It's about 4 kilometers to Makivka,
Is it 4 kilometers to Makivka?
in Lugansk.
Makivka is actually a city.
No, a village in Lugansk, a village.
There is such village in the Lugansk region, right? Got it. And what were you doing there in this forest belt?
Well, in fact, we had territorial defense. That is, we were not deceived this. That is, we did not have, well, no assault groups, no assault actions as such, nothing happened. The only thing we were told was the second, third line of containment, but as I understand it, this was the first line of containment.
What were your functions?
Duty, night, daytime.
And where, at what facilities?
Well, in that forest belt where they were, and
Maybe there were some trenches, dugouts,
well,
therefore...
trenches, dugout. That is, we lived in dugouts. We were on duty in trenches.
Were you on duty in the trenches? That is, you go out into the trench, you have to be on duty there. And how long did that last?
Well, on December 1st, we arrived at that unit. At night, they gave us weapons. That is, on the 2nd, we arrived at that settlement. And on December 3rd, so we were in that forest belt. On March 14th, I was captured.
And before March 14th, what else was happening besides your duty?
That is, mortar shelling and duty.
And from your side, were there mortar attacks? Or any other attacks? Any actions at all?
Well, the equipment was rolling around like heavy tanks.
Rolling around. I understand you met your wife when you were serving in the army, right?
Before the army.
Before the army. Yet before the army. I'm just looking at your photos.
Hmm.
These are not special services. It is simply possible to find all your social media profiles using a photo, even though that have already been closed or deleted.
Nothing
It's you
deleted.
and your wife, right? So, okay, and what can you say about your patriotic posts or appeals? About how everyone should go mobilize, whoever doesn't go is coward and all that stuff.
I didn't post anything like that. I'm more than sure. The only thing I did post was right when I received the summons.
So, and what was that?
It was a photo of a summons and I inserted a fragment of a song by Max Korsch. I think, yes, Army.
Well, you're at least telling the truth. What did that mean? A fragment of song and humans.
Well, it meant protecting the motherland.
Mean protecting the
Well,
motherland?
in my head there was a concept that is the territory was joined.
So, why are you now saying that then, as I understand it, we were already taken to Ukraine, to the Lugansk region?
Well, they have already explained to me here how this is possible.
Stop. We agreed with you. We are starting from your real views and principles and concepts.
Well, now this is my view, right? I mean, it was like they explained to me how this is possible.
So, you really understood? Thank you. You really understood that this is Ukraine after all, right?
Well, they explained it to me.
No, come on, let's argue. You can take some water if you want.
Thank you.
Yes, let's argue about this maybe or discuss. Ukraine or not Ukraine? Why should it suddenly become part of Russia? Lugansk region.
Well, maybe the people weren't happy with something.
Maybe.
Possibly. That is, again, I didn't live there, I don't know.
When you come back and they start lying, what they basically lie, find out how many people left that place. And you will understand that almost half of the population after 2014, and in 2014, I tell you right away, Russian troops entered there. Russia so-called volunteers. After Crimea. You know, right? The story in Crimea. You don't know either.
Well,
You will rewatch the interview later and see what happened after Crimea, and you can even say at the same time. In some places, Russian so-called volunteers entered. Find out who Strelkov is, who Motorola is, who Boroda is, and many other characters. Why were they the main actors in Donbas if they are all Russians and if allegedly the residents of Donbas wanted something there? What were the Russians doing there? What were the Russians doing there on tanks with multiply rockets, launchers, and much, much more? What began to happen in 2014? And here are those millions of people who left for Ukraine, for Europe. What to do with them? Russia was not interested in their opinion. That's it. I'm just saying that someday you will probably rewatch it and you will be interested in all this. And the majority of the residents who remained there after Russia entered and after the de facto occupation of part of the territory since 2014, these are the people who remained. By the way, there are many of these people here with you. Now here in the camp, talk to them.
well,
From Donetsk, Lugansk, from the regions. The overwhelming majority of them say that they didn't want to fight and weren't going to, and they had nothing to defend. And those people who stayed there basically are people who stayed simply because their home is there. They didn't want to leave it. They weren't from Russia. And for those who remained under occupation, forcing them to put a cross where a cross should be put is not such a problem.
well, whoever I talked to, they didn't fight for Russia, they fought for Donetsk. That is, well, again, since 2014, everyone has had the same impression, kind of not positive about Ukraine. Bombing from from Ukraine.
What impression can they have of Ukraine if Russian troops, anti-aircraft missile systems, tanks entered? They stood behind them. The war began. They shoot at each other. And sometimes they get a hit from the Ukrainian side. What impression can they have? Because from all the corners and all the channels, all their bloggers, all their propagandists shout that Ukraine is deliberately shelling the civilian population. What opinion can they have of Ukraine? Well, they're really shelling. And there is shelling from the Russian side too. Well, there are also shellings from the Russia side in the Lugansk region, for example. There is a lot of evidence. You can look at it if you want. You know, when everything calms down somehow, Russia bam throw a couple of shots there, well, just to stir things up. And from all sides, all their information is focused on criticizing Ukraine and presenting Ukraine in the worst possible colors. How can they have anything good about Ukraine?
Perhaps it's not for me to judge.
That's exactly it. I'm just saying what is known, what is common knowledge. You know, because there is propaganda there on one side and the other, and there are common knowledge facts. The common knowledge fact is that until Russia entered there, the so-called volunteers, everything was calm there. Well, find evidence that there were any problems in Donbas. And the first to die were the first to die at the hands of either Russian citizen or separatists, Ukrainians who were there with Ukrainian flags and said we don't need any Russia here. They were killed. Some were killed, some were imprisoned. It's not for me to judge and it's not for you to judge, it's just factual data. Oh well, we've got another topic. Is this how you imagine captivity?
Basically, no.
How then?
Well, not like now.
Then how?
Well, how can I say? Not the same attitude as here in the captivity. Well, there is a loyal attitude here at the moment.
So, how did you imagine the attitude?
Well, just like in the movies, beatings, bullying.
Strip ropes, caps.
Well, basically.
And sometimes you go into the big ovens, right? Were you told anything about Ukrainian captivity before you were captured? Were there any conversations about it among yourselves?
Not really.
There was nothing. And why do many Russians absolutely don't know how to write in their native language?
They don't want to learn. I'm not exactly an excellent student of Russian either. I also make mistakes.
Well, I just got the impression from the comments when I read them that they specifically recruited some illiterate people. In theory, relatively literate people should have been hired for such work, but they can't write at all. I just don't understand this idea of protecting the Russian language. By the way, you perceive the idea of invasion as protecting already occupied territories, right?
Well, how they sent us.
Or an attempt to somehow defend them in general. Okay, but at first there was talk about denazification, demilitarization, remember?
Well, that performance.
Yes.
So?
Where did it go?
Maybe in other units, well, like our unit was sent, well, like initially we were told that we were going to territorial defense, at least that was confirmed.
How do you imagine denazification?
I don't even understand the meaning of this word. What is denazification? Denazification. Overthrow of the people? What is this?
Well, it's like a fight against Nazism.
Oh.
Have you seen much Nazism here during your stay? Or Nazis themselves?
Well, personally, no. Some guys say they did.
Do you believe them?
Everyone had their own opinion. I don't just believe or don't believe it.
And guys who express this opinion, have they seen Nazis? What do these Nazis look like? I'm trying to figure it out for myself. I'm interested sincerely.
A Nazi is not just a person who looks like something, but their actions. Even those from Donetsk, well, I don't know, maybe they were the same separatists as you said. Or maybe they were really Ukrainians.
What did they do?
They raped and killed civilians. Well, some guys saw this. I don't take this as my own calculation that it is all Ukraine.
They didn't tell you about these Cossacks who raped and killed civilians right there and squeezed money, businesses, everything they could out of them. I see.
Everyone tells what they saw, so to speak.
Yes, I understood. Thought you asked for more details.
Not really.
Nazism is generally when one nation puts itself above another. That is, we are not talking about rape or murder as such, but under the guise of what it is done. For example, when Russians shout that we can enter Ukraine to protect some Russian-speaking people, right? They think that some Russian-speaking people are higher and more important than everyone else, and they can enter and do what they consider necessary. This is in principle pure Nazism. When they put this above others, and absolutely do not care about anything else. In fascism, this is when one country or one state, considering itself great, believe that it can dictate something to another country. This is as simple as possible. Well, Russia, for example, believed that it could dictate something to Ukraine. Tell us how to live, who to be friends with, and invaded because of this. This is fascism. Otherwise, we would leave, you at your place and we at ours, and no problems. And if you really need some residents or the residents need you, well, take them to yourself, in that case. Something like that.
Maybe.
Okay, what if you died? Could that happen? Well, you
could.
weren't taken prisoner, you were shot.
I could.
What would you die for?
For my homeland.
For your homeland. In what way is your homeland interested in what you do? Or in your death, what is your homeland interested in? Or in your actions, what is your homeland interested in?
I have no answer.
Well, as I understand it, to take some territory for itself. Well, the interest of your homeland is to take some territory for itself, right?
Well, again, I'll start from what I heard, what I saw. That is, the territory was joined.
What I saw, what I heard. Territory joined, it sounds like territory is some kind of creature with its own mind and its own will.
No, well,
It just went ahead and joined
they
itself.
had signed. That is, Donetsk, Lugansk,
Yes.
Kherson even.
Pushilin, who traded MMM shares,
I'm not familiar with
decided
it.
for the millions of people who had to flee from there that someone has joined there. No, that's why I'm asking, can this be considered something natural or legal? Look, I'm trying to build cause and effect relationships. I understand that it's not quick and easy, but still. When I ask the question, what do you know about the Donetsk and Lugansk regions?
Nothing.
What am I asking? About the population. Your answer that you know nothing. Let's move on. If you died, what would you die for? For motherland? When I asked whether these referendums could be considered fair and legal, you say I don't know. So here too the honest answer will be that I don't know, and not for the motherland. Because if you don't know how fair this annexion was and how necessary it was in principle in this whole war, then you probably don't know what you would have died for.
Perhaps so.
Here is another important question. Do you consider the interests of the motherland, which contradict the interests of all mankind, to be such that they should be supported? Would you support the interests of your homeland if you knew for sure that they were anti-human and anti-moral?
It turns out I've already done it.
Did you understand that? Well, explain your idea.
My homeland told me I had to do so. I came, so I'm here.
You say on the one hand that you don't know, don't understand, and on the other hand you say that I have already supported the anti-human.
Without realizing it, here I am.
Do you understand that the actions of the Russian authorities who started all this and sent you here are basically anti-human?
I don't know.
Another question. What happened with the beginning of the so-called SMO? What happened? Did you somehow follow what was happening?
I didn't follow it. Maybe I came across some video somewhere. Again, videos of an unpleasant nature about the execution of soldiers.
And I can show you videos of Russians executing Ukrainian soldiers.
I've seen enough.
There are a lot of videos. Again, it all depends on where and what resources you watched them and what videos and how they were presented to you. No, that's not what I'm talking about, not about some local incidents. In general, what happened? Where did the Russian troops go after February 24th, 2022?
I wasn't curious.
So, you're really in Russia? Did you watch TV there?
No. I have a family, I have other concerns.
Yes, everyone has families and other concerns. Do you use any sources of information at all? External information?
I use the internet.
So?
But not to watch TV and news, just for entertainment, to watch movies.
Okay, fine, I understand that. At least you see some videos, even if they are of unpleasant content. Aren't you interested in what it is and where it happens?
No. Well, when I saw this video, it said what it is and where it is from.
So what, let's put together at least some kind of more or less complete picture from these scraps of information. What do you think, if you were asked, not now, not by me in an interview, not in Ukrainian captivity, but by your friend in Russia over a bottle of beer, what is going on? What would you tell him?
This is insane, this is wrong.
Insane, this is wrong. Do you know that the Russian army was near Kiev?
I heard it here.
Only here?
Yes.
Not before?
No.
General question, why do you leave?
Before this, I lived for my family. And now it turns out I live for them.
Is it the meaning of life? Is it the
For
meaning
me,
of existence? Do you have any life principles?
Don't cheat. That's my principle.
Don't cheat.
Yes.
More.
It
What is good and what is bad?
depends what to look at.
There are obviously bad things, there are obviously good things. In some people's opinion. In other people's opinion, there is nothing like that at all. What do you think?
Probably according to the first ones.
So what do you think? Is murder good?
There is no answer to this question.
Is murder good?
No.
Is it bad? I don't want to answer for you, it just happened that way. Is it bad?
Bad.
When you were coming from Belgorod to Ukraine, did you understand that you could kill someone?
In principle, there was a concept, but we went with the expectation of the second and third lines of containment, hoping no one gets to us.
But you understand perfectly well that the rifle and ammo are not issued just for the sake of having them.
Well, basically, yes.
That is, you understand that in other events that could have developed differently, you could have killed someone.
Maybe, maybe not, depending on the circumstances. How can I make the choice without doing it? I didn't do this. Hands are clean, thanks God. I can't help you answer such a question. I didn't kill. I don't know if
Many
could or
people
not.
have clean hands, but they are still at home in Russia. And my questions relate to the fact that if we simply imagine that you were guarding something in your trench and other people came out to you, you would shoot at them. Otherwise, they would shoot at you. In such a situation, would you shoot or would you stand and watch?
Most likely, yes.
Most likely, yes. That is, to kill or to die, the choice of those people who go here. Your third option, exclusive, is to be captured. I think that this is no more than 5% of the total number of people who are sent to war from Russia. What can you say to the Russians who are being sent? Should they come here or not?
Their choice.
Understood. Then, let's start from what you personally saw with your own eyes and felt. Would you come here again?
I wouldn't want to.
You wouldn't want to, but maybe you would go.
How do I say? A person under bondage liable for military service.
We must state the fact that if you return from captivity to Russia now and they tell you that you are going again, you will go again.
It turns out that way. I don't know, we'll hear the choice. Most likely, it's either prison or death.
You're dramatizing this one's death a bit too much. What death? You don't get shot for not going. Do you mean that either you will go to prison or you will die here?
Yes,
There is a chance of dying here, right?
a big one.
Big?
Quite a lot.
And now you have a wife, 2 kids, and a family. And here you are coming back. And it seems would in your homeland if this is your homeland, right? It must be beneficial for you to raise these children, educate them, work, and live. In your homeland, for some reason, it is profitable to send you here. You can't even reliably explain the goal of your presence here. And if it will send you again, you will just take it and go again. Do you think it's normal?
Most likely not.